Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson of the Thriving in Motherhood podcast, and today we're going to talk about routines or rhythms or just even surviving when you have morning sickness and you're pregnant and you've got other kids at home. What do you do? So, this is a wonderful question we got from our listener. We'll listen to it in just a second, but thank you so much for joining today. If you haven't left a question yet, please head over to thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/podcast and you can scroll down and leave a message just like this one. And I would love to answer any question you have on the podcast because I want these episodes to help you and answer your questions specifically.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation, and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Thriving in Motherhood Planner. With this simple system, creating a life you love is as simple as opening your planner and grabbing a pen. Every day with the Thriving in Motherhood Planner, you will know what to do next, what's most important, and what to fill those pockets of time on. You won't find yourself wandering around the house wondering what to do when the kids are playing nicely for a few minutes. You'll be able to fill that effectively with moving forward on the things that matter to you. Follow the Thriving in Motherhood Planner's research-based system so that you can move forward on the things that matter to you no matter the season of life that you are in. I'd love to help you get on a better path, one that leads to peace and confidence in your unique life with the Thriving in Motherhood Planner.
Learn more today at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/planner.
And let's go ahead and hear her question.
Hi, Jessica. This is Bianca. I listened to your podcast. I just started listening to it, I think, over the summer, actually. I was trying to get away from YouTube. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. I homeschool them, but I'm also pregnant, and I was diagnosed with severe morning sickness. I haven't fully been through all your podcasts yet. Maybe there has already been an episode on this. But is there any advice on coping with getting into a routine back with the kids while you're in this stage of life of morning sickness? I would really love any advice on it. I just feel like I spend a lot of my time just in bed with the kids and with YouTube and stories and toys, and I'm just like, I don't know how much longer we can survive with this. Any other advice would be so much greatly appreciated. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Okay. How many of you can all relate to that? I know I can. And it is so hard. And congratulations for lasting as many days as you did in bed because every day that is a challenge. That is a true challenge. So let's jump in to managing life during morning sickness. So first of all, I want to start with you. What are the routines you can do in this season to help you survive? Because I know firsthand what it's like to just be in an excruciatingly sick, physically painful pregnancy, and it just squeezes the life out of you. And I also know what it's like to go through a physically and painful, challenging pregnancy where you're really sick and actually do okay. That's the difference between my third and my fourth pregnancy. And it's because I learned some skills and I learned some practices that make all the difference. So the first thing are the monthly reviews in the Thriving in Motherhood Planner are essential. And if you don't have a planner, that's okay. Take out a piece of paper and write down, what have you learned? What have you discovered? What have you accomplished? Where have you gone? It maybe will surprise you. What have you done with your family that's significant? What books have you read or podcasts have you listened to? And the reason why we want to do this is the very first time I did this, I was actually pregnant with my third child. I had the 2 little kids. I really relate to your situation. And I was miserable and I kept just saying, all I do is lay on the couch and I, manage life with my kids and it's just so hard. And I was losing my mind. And so one day I was like, we are getting outside and I made it to the little porch stoop and gave them like some crayons and pencils. And I sat down in my notebook that has now become my planner that I designed, but sat down and I just wrote out what I described, what I told you, those categories. And I started that exercise like so depressed and ended very surprised and pleased that there was actually a lot more going on. And so that reality check of what life actually looks like, what you're actually doing in a hard season, matters so much. It'll help keep you sane. The other things that I do that are just life-changing are in the Thriving Motherhood Journal. So that journal, I designed for seasons like this that are so hard. But 4 of the questions that make the biggest difference every day are asking, how have I seen the hand of the Lord in my life today, or God, or whatever your spiritual focus is? How have you seen that power in your life today? Second, what am I grateful for today? Third, what are my big wins today? And this can be so simple. I smiled at my 2-year-old when he came up to me instead of like being frustrated, right? Like anything goes, but you need to look at your big wins, because you can choose to look at all the horrible things, or you can choose to look at the good things. Both are true. And then what were the magic moments that I had today? And a lot of these are the relationship things. Like we read a story together and enjoyed it, or there was this funny moment that we had. But you teaching your brain to look at these things is going to A, make them more significant, B, make them what you're noticing during the day, and C, it's going to change how you end the day. You'll feel good about it instead of just like so discouraged. And it might reduce that fear of facing the next day sick and pregnant in bed with your kids. Okay. So the other thing that's practical, very practical, when I'm sick in my pregnancies, I crochet a blanket. Now, it's a baby blanket for each of my kids, but the reason why I do it is because at the end of the day, when I'm so tired and my mental headspace, like all of my mental willpower is just about gone, it allows me just to count to 10 over and over again, crochet 10, 3 at the top, crochet down, skip 2, and it makes this nice little pattern blanket, and it just stops me from thinking for a little while, and I get to see progress in an area of my life where there maybe isn't a lot during that time. Like I'm not physically seeing a lot of progress besides my stomach getting bigger, right? Okay, practical things with the kids. And so you don't have to crochet, but like, is there something that you can do that you enjoy that will help you see something progress in your life, even if it's something simple like a blanket? So, because that'll just give you something to look forward to. And that is one of the big keys here to be successful. And that's another question in the journal that's very helpful. What do I have to look forward to? Whether it's today or this week or this month, have something to get excited about. It can just be a book you're reading to your kids. It can be going on a date with your husband, like whatever it is, what can you get excited about even though things are hard and the days are long? I truly relate to that. Okay, with your kids, things that we did to be really practical and helpful. We went to Goodwill and we invested in a CD player or a thrift store. Okay, we thrifted a CD player for a few dollars. And then I got CDs. We got some audiobooks from the library, and we got just like ones with those younger years, something that has some music and storytelling is really fabulous. We listened to Alexander's Amazing Adventures. It's one about like values, but really anything that has kind of that music storytelling. It's great. There's also good audiobooks like Mr. Popper's Penguins or Charlotte's Web or The Little House on the Prairie. We listened to all of those, and my oldest was about 5 years old. And I would set it up across the room for a while, so maybe I could still see them during the day, but it meant it so they were not right on me in my bed, because that happens and it's so hard. And I would give them like Play-Doh or Magnet-Tiles or something, but then they could listen to a story so they didn't have to talk to me, and I could have just a little bit of a mental break. I'm an introvert, to be honest, and like I just needed some space to recharge, especially when I don't feel good. My battery is a lot lower when I'm not feeling good. And as our kids got older, we graduated to the Kindle. So they use a Kindle to listen to their audiobooks. We just do it with library apps. But again, like just that idea that they've got something that they can be engaged in without me present. If you want to hear more about how we do audiobooks and Kindles, let me know. I'm happy to talk about that. Okay, the other thing that we did to survive pregnancies, because I really do not handle the sitting in bed playing with toys and watching videos for more than a few days. It drives me bonkers. It is a reality I've lived many times. I just don't like it. So, but go outside. So during my 3rd pregnancy, we would and 4th really, we just lived outside. I would meet friends at the playground, or we'd go ourselves, or my kids would go outside, depending on where we were living in the season. But we just went outside, and I would bring a blanket. I'd bring food for myself and the kids. If I was feeling good enough, I'd bring like the blanket to crochet, or I carved animals, or I made leather shoes. I just a project, something. Again, I cope with creativity. Like if things are hard, you better believe I'm knocking out a project. So those were things that I did that I could just do with my hands and were simple, and the kids could play at the playground. And we would spend pretty much all day out there. We'd go out all morning, maybe eat lunch outside, go in just so I could take a nap, and the kids would do quiet time, and we'd go back out in the afternoon. And we lived our days outside, which was so great because I felt like if you read like Charlotte Mason or like all of these homeschooling or educational philosophies are like, get your kids outside for at least 6 hours a day. And I'm like, we are crushing that one right now. And it wasn't pretty and it wasn't graceful. I was sick in a blanket. I threw up on every bush that you could imagine from our house to the playground and all the surrounding ones. Like it was ugly, but we survived and happier than if we had stayed inside. So I'm not like saying that makes it easy, but the environment was really, really helpful. And when we lived at our house, like the forced pregnancy was during COVID. We weren't going to playgrounds. I would just go outside and lay on a blanket with the kids, and they would play outside. But that way, my little kids, they still want to be with me. I could still kind of be aware of them. I could supervise them. I could be there when they needed help. But we were out of doors. And I think it actually turned out to be one of the biggest blessings and why my kids play so well outside all the time, whether I'm with me or not. Like it became formative for a family culture that we're just outside. So it really can be a wonderful thing, even though it's born out of a super hard season. Okay, again, depending on your faith, I highly recommend praying for help. Okay, praying for help or so when I had those first kids, I was not in space or I felt like I could ask for help. We didn't have anyone close, like family. There was no family. There was no obvious asking for help. And I just was in a spot in my mind where I just didn't want to do it, even though we needed it. And I did sometimes. There were some pretty maybe I did ask more than I gave myself credit for, but I would say mostly I didn't. And at that time, I felt like God just knew where I was at and he just provided help for me as I'm like, I need help. And I don't know even what I need help, but I need something. I need help or not making it. And we had lots of miracles. I'll share just a couple because I think sometimes it helps to hear the stories that other people have of help. And I know this is not going to be your story, but I hope it inspires you that there is someone that's aware of you and will help you because I have lived that so many times. So here's one. I was talking with a friend. This is during this third pregnancy where I really couldn't walk and I was very, very sick. And Andrew was working such an intense season in grad school for him. And so I was alone a lot of the time and I was so sick and he had to travel and go out of town quite a bit during this pregnancy too. But one of the times early on, I was very, very ill and I could not even get out of bed in the morning unless someone fed me food. Like saltine crackers weren't going to cut it. It needed to be eggs and potatoes. And so one of my friends would unlock, we left the back door unlocked and in the morning I'd text her and be like, I'm awake. And she would come over and bring me my eggs and potato in bed. When we realized he was going to be gone for a lot of days, I was talking with another roommate from college and we had a mutual friend that was her anyway. Mutual friend. And she was like, I don't think she's working. She reached out to my friend. My friend bought a plane ticket, flew out across the country and lived with us for a couple of days when Andrew was gone. And she took care of me and my kids. And I couldn't do it myself. I never would have thought to have asked for that. Just the way all the pieces fell into place. I was so grateful. And it was absolutely a miracle. A big miracle. But sometimes you can ask for things like that. I didn't know I could ask for that, right? But I was so grateful that God did and provided that for me. Another time I was so sick and I needed to go to the ER. I knew I'd reached that point of no return. I was so dehydrated. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't stop throwing up. And so, but it was also Andrew had a huge day the next day. He couldn't leave. We had kids at home. And so I needed someone to take me to the ER. So I asked, we prayed. I knew how to ask. That person came. She's amazing and took me to the ER. She had just moved into the area, but we were friends from college and she was the perfect person. We had so much fun, if you can imagine that. But the next day I was depressed, discouraged, worn out, exhausted. It was after midnight when I had gotten home. Day started early. Both Andrew and I are just at our wits' ends, totally worn out on every front. And that day we had constant stream of people that I would never expect come to our door. We had the first person start at like 8 a.m. She's like, I just felt like I should come to your door before I dropped my youngest off at preschool. Her youngest was the same as my oldest age. She has 6 kids, and just came and sat with me for a few minutes and just listened and just made me feel seen. And then somebody came by that had, her kids were in like middle school, high school, college. She came by and she just quick cleaned my house. And then a mom who was homeschooling, whose kids are my kids' age now, and I thought she was so old, and now I realize, no, she's not. Had came, and her kids, they had gone shopping and like bought tons of different food that you wouldn't normally eat. So the kids and I had something different to eat. And I was just like, I never thought to do that. Now that's another tip for you. Just buy food you don't normally eat when you're pregnant, because it's fun for everybody. But like, it was just such a gift. Anyway, 6 times, 6 people came to my door that day, and I just was not alone. It was just a day of being with angels on a day I was so at my wits' end. And just everyone that came, I was like, just knew God sent them. And I was so grateful to not be alone on a really hard day. I probably have 100 stories more just like these ones of knowing that when things are bad, someone cares. God cares, and he cares enough to send people to help. Just be willing. If you have a thought, just do it. Just do it. It always sends a message that, at least if it's chosen to be received this way, I have always received it as God is thinking about me, and I am grateful. And I go now having experienced that. And if I have a thought, I go. And sometimes it's awkward, and maybe not a big deal. Maybe it wasn't needed. And sometimes I have been astounded at the situation that I've walked into. And they are some of my most sacred moments that I will not share. They're not my story. But you can always be the answer to someone's prayer. And that is what brings me the most joy in this life. And those things that really matter is when you are the answer to someone's prayer. So now, once I did understand I needed to ask for help, like when we were in Connecticut, we had the 3 kids, and I had just had surgery, and we still had a baby. And in that season, Andrew was finishing he just started a new job, was finishing that job, starting a new job. We were moving in 2 weeks, and I was completely out of commission. Surgery did not go well. My recovery was a disaster. And so I had to ask for help. And this is probably the first time where I realized, I need a lot of help. I can't just ask for a little bit of help. And I'm going to have to be proactive every single day and call and ask people to bring us food and ask people to watch my kids. And I was so humbled, so grateful. We were in a place, God put us in a place where there were people in a culture that was possible. And I am so grateful for every single one of those individuals who took care of my kids and fed us and supported us and prayed for us. But I had to do it. That time, the miracle was me knowing who to ask and people saying yes. So sometimes you just need to ask. Now, what do you ask for in this situation where you're kind of blah, but you're kind of okay, but it's fine, but it doesn't feel fine, and you don't really know? You can ask for someone. This was always such a gift. When someone just came over and maybe they brought a meal, or maybe they just came and swept my floor and they just talked to my kids. You could just ask someone, can you come over for 30 minutes? Just come and help us for 30 minutes or an hour and just talk to my kids, right? Because you're sick. And when those little kids, when anytime anyone came to our door, it was my kids just flocked to them and, had so much to say, right? Or maybe your kids just need a place to go play for the afternoon so you can rest, not even sleep necessarily or rest, but just have a break from trying to be everything all at once when you feel so miserable yourself. Meals or snacks. The other one is, can there be people that just meet you at the park and hang out? I believe so strongly that outside thing saved us. But it was more fun because we had other friends. So can you just call and ask people to meet you at the playground? Might be moms with kids, might be moms without kids, to be honest. I have lots of friends in all different seasons of life. Some of them are married, some of them are not. I say moms without kids doesn't make sense. People without kids, people that aren't married. We have friends of all different life stages. That's so important to me. And invite them to come be a part of your family life. Just bring other people into your circle, because in those hard pregnancies, it can feel so lonely and isolating, and you still need connection. Your kids need a connection. You need to have, your marriage, right? It's just a big weight, and it's a big weight to bear alone. And when you have people that are aware of you and aware of your circumstances, it's a little bit better. So I'd invite you to know who to pray for who to know, to invite into your circle, for who to help you. And I pray for you, all of you, all the time. And that you listen to this podcast, and I hope that I know that that when you're in survival seasons, that you got people cheering you on and hoping the best for you, and that you get those miracles that you need and those tender mercies that you need so that you can keep going another day. Okay, the final point here is use this season, if you can, to embrace the difference. I'm not doing as much when I am pregnant, right? Like, it's kind of just managing, keeping everybody alive, but I'm not really doing a lot. And with that, I've had a lot more opportunity to consume and read lots of books or watch videos or listen to podcasts or audiobooks. And because of that, it can be an amazing time to gather ideas for your vision, to get a little more clear about what you want your life to be like, of the things you do want to do or create or try as the seasons continue to change, or to start taking baby steps on it right now. It can be a beautiful opportunity to slow down and get some perspective and get some ideas, and to find ways to still move forward on the things that matter to you in your life. There is a way to do that. I've never had to stop podcasting through through hard pregnancies and recoveries. I've been able to do that because I know what my baby steps are and because I have a clear vision. So don't feel like you have to put your life on hold even though you're pregnant. Get clear about what that vision is. You can do that in the Create Your Vision Challenge at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/vision. You can do it in the Thriving in Motherhood Planner. 2024 is out and ready to go at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/planner, and get it. And with that, you'll get the Create Your Vision mini course right in there, and the workbook all included in your planner to start living it out. But I do that in every season. That was a lot. I have big feelings about hard pregnancies, and especially when you have kids. But as a recap, start with the routines for yourself to make sure that you are coming in a good place, the best place that you can be in, even though you're in a really hard circumstance. So that looks like doing those monthly reviews every 30 days to reality check and see what you're really doing, what your life is actually like, the things that you're really learning and accomplishing and discovering. It looks like asking those questions in the journal. And four of my favorite ones are, how have I seen the hand of God in my life today? What were my big wins today? What am I grateful for today? What are my magic moments today? Those are really, really powerful. Completely change how you feel about your days and what you look for in your life. And then getting ready to finding things that you're excited about. That's another really important thing to look for in a hard season. And then for your kids, it's, can you get a CD player or an audiobook, a way to listen to audiobooks, stories, songs, and little activities that they can be set up for success to spend some time doing their own things. So you can have a little bit of space and quiet time and separation from hanging out in a bed together, playing with toys. And then pray for help, ask for help, look for those angels in your life, look for the ways that God is helping you, and eat different food. Just buy different food from the grocery store. I guess that's a bonus side tip. And then use this time to come up with a vision for your life and start making baby steps towards it. So it is a hard thing. So hard, and I will never detract from that. But there has been so many good things that have also come out of these hard seasons for our family. Oh, get outside. That's one of the good things that came out of it. Get outside as much as possible. And I hope that helps you. I highly recommend checking out my new Masterclass, Plan a Week You Can Win. I designed it just for you to meet you right where you're at. These are the planning strategies I use every single week to help me plan a week that I can win, right? To check everything off, to be able to be present with my family, and to move forward on those things that really matter to me, so that I can find the joy in the everyday life and really bless my family with my attention, because I can turn my brain off. I know all of my thoughts are safe, and I can give them my full focus. So you can check that out at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/more-time. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.